2 years ago, a series of coordinated attacks on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka shattered the peace in a country that has suffered a long history of sectarian tensions. These tragic events rocked the nation and reverberated across Asia and beyond. Following the lethal attacks, there were revelations of security and intelligence failures, and the incident also disclosed that extremism is a much deeper and ingrained problem in Sri Lanka than most had realized. The nation recently marked the second anniversary of deadly attacks and remembered all the victims killed in the suicide blasts.
These people gathered outside St. Anthony Church in Sri Lanka are observing 2 minutes silence on the second anniversary of Easter attacks. 2 years ago, Sri Lanka experienced the trauma of the Easter Sunday bombings that left at least 250 people dead. The explosions targeted Christians at Easter Sunday church services in Colombo, Negombo and Batticaloa and tourists staying in luxury hotels in capital. The world watched the mayhem unfolding in the Indian island ocean, which was still recuperating from the years of bloodshed and violence during the civil war. According to Sri Lankan government officials, all the suicide bombers in the attacks were Sri Lankan citizens associated with National Tawhid Jamaat, a local militant Islamist group with suspected foreign ties. The deadly attacks exposed multiple gaps in Sri Lanka's security architecture, and for many Sri Lankans, there are still unanswered questions which need to be solved.
We have to stress that what is happening at the moment, which is an attitude of no care, where all the factors are not properly investigated in a coordinated and an organized fashion, but from day to day according to each day's fortunes, is not going to satisfy our questions.
The scale and coordination of the bombings indicated an advanced logistical capability and structure among domestic Islamist networks. A special probe panel appointed in 2019 by former President Maithripala Sirisena had recommended the banning of Muslim extremist organizations who advocate radicalism in the Buddhist majority country. However, the panel was then rejected by all political parties. But recently, Sri Lanka banned 11 hardline Islamist organizations in the country. Among the banned organizations are local Muslim groups, including the Sri Lanka Islamic Students Movement. From mulling burqa ban to de-radicalization law, the Sri Lankan government has taken several steps as part of a crackdown against Islamic extremism in the aftermath of the Easter bombings. But such steps do not reduce risk of future violence in the country. Sri Lanka has to re-establish its intelligence coordination. During Easter Sunday bombings, media reports suggested intelligence lapses, including a lack of information sharing between the country's intelligence agencies, the President and the Prime Minister. Colombo needs intelligence sharing with foreign partners to deal with its challenge.
Intelligence inputs, even if far-fetched, even if sometimes not very accurate, needs to be acted upon. You never know, because a terrorist only needs one gap. They have a surprise element, they can act anywhere and often with impunity because of the surprise element. It is absolutely important that all the countries in South Asia and at the global level, regional and global level, must work together to do not differentiate between terrorists.
Sri Lankan government is also concerned that the banned radical outfits may create a terror hub in the island nation, which could have major implications for the southern Indian Ocean region. Hence, Sri Lanka seeks closer security tie-up with India to counter seaborne terror in the region. India, as a long-standing friend, has always helped Colombo in counter-terrorism cooperation, and both the countries are now working on the expansion of security partnership.